Hey, I said last video that I'd be doing another video on Item Asylum's lore, so here we are. While this was fun to make, I actually hate how hard it is to find info on the game's lore, as the wiki is all over the place and doesn't seem to have its own lore tab. In the future, I might come back to this and update it with any relevant information, but for now, this is all I found. I think it's fair to start on the very first boss of the game, boss_sage, also known as Ither. The beta devs were actually planned to be the first boss, but were scrapped for being too buggy. Anyway, the wiki states that Ither appears as a pale-skinned, Robloxian man with an unhappy expression. He wears a white G, also known as a Kikoji, with a lightning symbol enclosed in an outlined hexagon behind. Cyan-shaped cross-symbol particles are present at all times around his arms. Now, onto the lore. To begin, I guess we can start by talking about his wife, Lisa. I will mention her again in a second, but let's introduce her real quick first. Well, I'm not sure what to say about her. She just looks like a female version of Ither, though the images of her we get in-game are hard to translate into art. I assume they both wear similar clothing, though the hair of her in-game seems slightly different than the art depicts. You can actually see Lisa while fighting Ither. He can summon a semi-transparent cyan entity, which is Lisa. The purpose she serves is being a weak attack of Ither's, dealing minor damage, ragdolling, and inflicting knockback to anyone caught by her. After a few seconds, she will return back to Ither and vanish. In the map, players will spawn to the side parallel to the one with a wooden door, where Ither will spawn. The door is said to lead to an unknown realm. Ither's goal is to protect the door from being opened up by anyone. The player's objective is to kill Ither because they suffer from a psychopathic mental disorder. This is probably why he is also known as the Gatekeeper, as he stands between you and the door. Honestly, I'm not sure who has the mental illness, us or Ither. Either way, that's pretty sad. Once successful, an unknown force that has yet to be revealed in the game opens the door. And because someone forgot to close it, it causes many things to escape from the door into the main world. At one point, the beta devs paved their way into the main realm through a series of portals. Gene, Port, and there's our interdimensional travelers. Who would have thought? County has fallen, the beta devs have invaded. Kidding. Anyway, the most shocking part is that Ither actually has a wife. His wife is named Lisa, who is now deceased. She fights alongside him at times. She was once a fan and piece of media until being confirmed canon by the devs. Lisa died after opening the door out of curiosity, leading to a monster coming out of it and killing her. This monster could be Dallas or Bully. He also has negative ties to the rebellion as they tried invading the door for its power. However, he, likely alongside Lisa too, fought back and won. Speaking of the rebellion is a 1,000-year-old faction who wants complete control over everything under Kuro's power. Who is Kuro? No idea. Something to note is that Ither, Ouigi, Man of Nature, and all the beta devs each have their own grave, which implies they probably died at the hands of us, the Asylumers. But they seem to always respawn, so is it really true? Man of Nature, whose real name was Takio Ouigi, was born in Tokyo, Japan. In his high school years, he was a loner, but hearing yodeling on the radio was his first time getting into the medium. Medium of what? Probably singing. I don't know. I'm just the guy who reads the wiki and feeds it to you guys. Anyway, following his father's footsteps, he went to a university and studied mechanical engineering. In his spare time, he would learn how to play the zither and hammered dulcimer. Using various records created by friends online, he first taught himself to yodel and started performing on Japanese television. During this 6-month period, when studying abroad in Germany, he went to Switzerland to sing at a beer hall in Zurich. Afterwards, he would earn money from his career and would eventually sing with his idol, Friends Online. Despite all this, no lore for the character exists. That is, the Item Asylum version. This is because Zeros believes the boss as a whole is in need of work. Though, if I'm being honest, the Roblox and IRL version are basically the same person. Let's just say he got reincarnated into Item Asylum somehow, I do know. Next up, Ouigi. This is honestly pretty short, but it's because there isn't much lore about him. This is because he only battles the players to reclaim popularity, relevancy, and other personal gain, given that he is an old meme who started since 2007. You know, those old YTPs. Another thing to note is that he did offer a deal to the beta devs once, and that deal was to bring him back to popularity. It slightly worked, according to Porta Boy. Speaking of old stuff, we should talk about the map Crossroads. While the newly added hidden boss, Doglirium, has been in the game for over a year, we haven't found it until recent times. As a result, much more lore got revealed to us. I honestly think the strange beacons and portals are important here, since the beta devs are interdimensional travelers and stuff. At the very least, this portal could lead somewhere unknown, though looking at it, it looks like it could lead to Miller Strange. I think the fact that a dog comes out of the portal is kind of concerning. Like, this scary and weird looking portal only brings out a dog? I don't believe it. Another theory I have involves not only the uncertified, but also the mercs, sewer dwellers, rebellion, and Windows. Any of the factions you can play as in TDM or TC. The Uncertified is a rogue faction, composed of combat dummies, who plan to take over IA and punish anyone who used combat dummies. It's why boss underline Uncertified exists. We already know about the Rebellion and their ties with Ither, so that leaves the Mercs and Sewer Dwellers. The Mercs are a mercenary faction who complete orders from others in exchange for a hefty payment. Seems pretty neutral. I would say they are the true neutral of all 5 of the factions. Windows is a cult that believes technology will rule the world and wants to force that agenda into reality. And for sewer dwellers, they are a faction who want to achieve peace in IA by using violence to achieve such. Now, that's enough for introductions. Let's talk about which faction is the most quote-unquote evil. The sewer dwellers have good intentions, but using violence to achieve peace not only seems counterproductive but also gives them a bad look. Castle Conundrum, Cave, and Zombie Station all seem like places they would hide out in, though Zombie Station seems to have been taken over by the Uncertified, at least in terms of their influence, due to the graffiti on the wall. Windows seems like your average tinfoil hat guy, believing that technology will take over the world and that the AI using is near. Given that there is quite a bit of technology in the game and dual screen, a newly added map is a giant DS, so I guess they aren't too far off from using tech to influence us. We already know the Rebellion is some evil group under Kuro's orders, and they also have a relic that goes by the same name, the Rebellion Sword. The Mercs seem like the nicest group, as they simply do things for money, much like other mercenary companies. They probably do a myriad of things, whether it be good or bad. Let's just hope the money we give them goes to a good cause, like defending the statues on Shorefront, Scary, and Canyon. Lastly, Uncertified. These guys are Item Asylum's mascot and passion, if it wasn't obvious. We already know they punish those who use combat dummies, as seen in boss_uncertified. The image on screen details their lore and their origins. I won't yap about it, since I already showed the image and would rather give my own thoughts about it instead. Pause if you need to read it, it's important, trust me. At the same time, can they blame us? The game says, combat dummies are great for testing weapon combos. This implies that the usage of combat dummies for testing purposes is seen as normal in the world of Item Asylum. Not only that, but the amount of dummies at our disposal is insane. We have a total of 11 dummies to use, though the shopkeeper and president seem kind of weird. The shopkeeper already appears in lobby_fighting, and he is usually present in his store located in Thunderstorm. So it's odd seeing him as a usable dummy. Regardless, dummies are the foundation of Item Asylum, and we can infer that they are most likely your average citizen, similar to the players. They also appear in red light, green light, further proving how often dummies are used. Their philosophy to punish those who use dummies almost works in the player's favor though, as they will punish anyone, no matter who they are. This makes them chaotic neutral, or at the very least, neutral evil. Despite their nature, it seems like not all combat dummies, the uncertified versions, share this belief. You will occasionally, or rather, quite often see combat dummies hanging out with not only other factions but the players themselves. The images on the screen show proof of this. I guess some of the dummies got sick and tired of Combat King's beliefs and decided to side with the players instead. Not only that, but in general, the many people apart from the factions seem to get along quite well. Could this be the influence of the players? The players seem to be chaotic neutral, as they will do anything just for IA coins, and some of the uncertified or other factions might find this belief simple and therefore appealing. Speaking of uncertified, have you ever wondered why the TC variant seems to be missing the soldiers and mages? It might be their scouting force, or a lesser, weaker force, as while they do get specialist classes like tank or support, they seem to be missing important figures like Combat King and Mino's dummy. I guess all that effort has to go to destroying the Sully statue instead. To be fair, Dr. Combat, a guy I will mention later, might be strapped for cash after spending it all on the soldiers. TC is one of their smaller operations, which is to capture the statue and most likely gather intel about enemy factions or groups, which could explain the lighter forces. Though, rarely, you might encounter a higher ranking dummy like this guy here. I found him in the pool rooms during an elimination match, to which he promptly won. It seems like even higher-ranking officials within the uncertified have taken a liking towards the players as they too engage in friendly combat. You can even occasionally see combat dummies fighting alongside the players in boss_uncertified, showing their rebellious behavior against their kind. Enough about that. Have you ever wondered about the origins of the uncertified? Some people think they are combat dummies who became sentient or were created in a factory, but this image here is definitive proof of these claims. The factory they were made in could be JL Factory or some other unnamed factory. Their ultimate boss, Dr. Combat, is the one behind the uncertified and their beliefs. He created these dummies to help with his plans, giving them all of these things like military-grade equipment, far better than what the average player has, along with sentience. Despite this, many uncertified dummies ended up changing their minds and instead joined the players, probably in an attempt to thwart Dr. Combat. Combat King was also taken care of, meaning that their plans are probably in shambles right now. The quote-unquote final fight of Asylum might be against Dr. Combat, though we might need people from each faction to even make it possible. Our players might be the reason why the uncertified dummies are more than just a weapon. While Dr. Combat gave them sentience, emotions, and an objective, what we gave them is priceless purpose. I mean, engaging in friendly combat and taking down bosses and zombies is surely better than taking over the world, right? The uncertified are my favorite faction personally, and they are probably the most fleshed out with the most fan content. Anyway, that's enough for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed my thoughts on what I had to say about the lore, because I already have over 2,000 words on a Google Doc about this topic. I might come back to this another time and do some more aggressive, in-depth research, so this is more of a surface look at the game's lore. I'm not Matt Pat, but I will try to fill in the gaps where I can. That's all. Be sure to thank your local uncertified dummy for the work they have done. The nice ones, of course.